Well, Coach Santa Cruz, GNAC champion Azusa Pacific. How nice does that sound? And what about this year's team are you most proud of at this point?
Well, it's the sound you want when you set the goals there, and so you're excited for that. It's a job well done by the players, job well done by the staff and the program, the school. So I mean, we want that to be a familiar tune for this whole program, year in and year out. We set our goals, obviously, at the highest level possible, and we intend on putting together a process and going about a process that helps that to be achievable. So. This team, I guess what I'm most proud of is that they stuck to the process week in and week out. They didn't ever lose hope. They kept a great attitude throughout the whole time. When chips were down, they just kept going about the process, kept going about taking care of their business, playing with passion, and then also just appreciating the fact they're playing college football. And as they did that, I think they continue to pour themselves out for each other. And you saw what really does achieve championships, and that is a team. And so I think this last Saturday night was indicative of a real team effort. So I'm excited. It's an amazing football team to be a part of, and it's an amazing program. So I'm really fired up for them, and as we get ourselves focused now about Simon Fraser.
I mean, Coach, 8-1 in the conference this year, but now on a 6-game winning streak. What have been the key elements to your team's success over the last 6 games?
Yeah, well, you go back to just details of process. I think you've got to be able to control the field position. You've got to be able to dig yourself out of bad field position. You've got to be able to get the turnover battle going. I think we've done very well, and being on the plus side of the turnover margin. Then obviously you got to be able to kick field goals. You've got to be able to play small ball at times because there's a lot of tough defenses. This is an amazing football league, and I don't think people quite appreciate just how tough every single game is here. And then you've got to find a way in practice to keep people healthy, to get them time to refresh. I think we've done a very good job of that. And then lastly is you've got to have great leadership, which is our senior class did provide that. And I think I also like our junior class too, because they're bought in, and so. Our seniors are the tip of the spear, but they're really backed up by a great junior class that just supports them and appreciates everything we're moving forward.
Yeah. Great. So to keep talking about the winning streak, during the winning streak, all these games have been decided by 10 points or less. Right. It seems like your team kind of figures out a way to win in those close games. Do you talk about that? What does that look like?
Well, I think you go back to their disciplines and their process. I hate to sound vanilla with it, but that's really it. When we go into the locker room at halftime, they're able to go back to the systems they know so well, able to adjust it with things that are adjustments that we may have used before or make a lot of sense. We're not just drawing things in the dirt and trying to throw something out brand new. What I like about all the work that's gone into the summertime, even last spring, the coordinators, the staff, they've done a lot of research with their systems, how to make the most of them. They've watched a lot of film and study of other opponents. They've done their job of trying to learn from their staff. So now when you go into halftime, you have an amazing football team that is ready to learn, ready to adjust, but the staff keeps it within the bounds and the scope of what they know. And so there's some techniques and stuff that are vital to us, and so our players are able just to get back and learn. So the 10 points, I think that's more indicative about how tough this football league is. I think it's also why we're very proud of winning a GNAC championship. It's an extremely hard thing to do to win a championship in football, period, but particularly in this league when you have the familiarity of our opponents and the caliber that athletes that every team has. If you're winning by 10 points, you're just happy you have one more point than the next guy.
Now, defensively, you faced another explosive offense the week before. It was Western Oregon, then it was Dixie State. They were leading the league in offense, had one of the nation's top quarterbacks, and you were able to slow him down a little bit. What part of the defensive game plan did you think you guys executed best?
Well, I think we were able to create some pressure in our pressure package. I thought our secondary held up well. I think that it's such an explosive offense that Dixie State is. They were able to get their yardage and get some points, and we knew even at that last score that we go up, we knew that they weren't going to back away. That Griff Robles was going to lead a charge of just an amazing offense they are. I mean, the numbers don't lie. They're very good. So I thought what helped us, though, particularly was just to keep the explosive plays down. They were limited on the amount of explosive plays that they're usually on average were able to get. So that gave our offense a chance. And And while our offense was trying to figure out what they're doing defensively, I think that we played defense well enough to keep the game close and then give ourselves a chance to win in the end.
And Coach, offensively, it seems like for the past couple of weeks, your offense opens up after you start throwing the ball. And, you throw the ball early, which then lets Terrell pick up some big chunks of yards later in the game. How effective is that recipe versus using the run game early to try to set up the pass?
Yeah, I think you've got to do that. When you're in a spread offense, you've got to be able to throw the ball. And that's what we're committed to the pass just as equally as we're committed to the run. When you have a running back like Terrell Watson, when you have an offensive line like ours, when you have other backs in the stable that can run the ball, you seem to want to lean on the run, but we're always looking to pass the ball. We like to be 50-50 in terms of we are equally as strong. Now, our running game is probably going to highlight this whole year, obviously with the running back breaking records that he did. And now he's the leading rusher for the GNAC in conference history, and I'm fired up for him. But then you got to see a chance of, okay, we got to be able to pass the ball because people are just going to try to take away Terrell. And now at that point, if you can't hit the passes, then we're really boxed in. So Daz Stewart has just continued to develop well over time. I thought it was probably one of his best games he's ever played for us because, he was just throwing dimes, and I thought he was read coverages well. Probably one of the smartest quarterbacks we've had around here for quite some time. In his ability to diagnose coverages. So he really goes through his whole read progression. I feel like he can go to the fourth progression, and that's a hard thing to do. So for him to be able to see what you're doing and diagnose coverage-wise, take it all to the fourth progression, I think it's pretty outstanding that he's done that. So we're really thrilled that he's here and getting a chance to be successful with the passing game.
And along those lines, you've gotten your receivers healthy. How important was it to have, a full set of wide receivers that were healthy and available to you in opening up the pass game recently?
Yeah, back to the whole thing. You're going to run a spread. You better have guys that can spread you out and be a threat. You don't want to just put people out there that, you spread the formation, but after the ball snaps, there's nothing happening. So we have receivers that now that they can create the space downfield with the coverages you're going to apply to them. They're able to adjust themselves well, and they have the trust of Daz, and Daz has the trust of them. I think there's a great feel for these veteran receivers that we do have. So you got a chance to see a lot of our passing game open up because of that. We're finally healthy again at the receiving corps. So it's always our intention just to continue to recruit great receivers here just as much as great running backs because, this offense can be, I think, even more explosive as the years go on. Because I think Coach Carlton and the offensive staff have just got a great plan together, and it goes well with the whole program, with all of our philosophies, defense, and special teams as well.
And now Simon Fraser, looking ahead at this week's opponent, they're another dangerous team offensively. It's kind of a broken record at this point. The last three teams you faced have been very explosive. Lamar Durant has been back for a couple of games. They've scored 35 and 38. The running back has rushed for 100 yards both of those times. How important is Durant to the offense that you're playing, and how do they balance him so well within that offense?
Well, Durant is probably one of the best receivers in our whole league, I think, if not the best. And to have him back, he's a formidable weapon for him. I know this, that though Ryan Stanford, their quarterback, I think he's the guy you got to really look at. And when you're talking about all-league quarterbacks, he's got to be in the conversation. I think that, along with Tolbert, he's running very efficient. He's a good square shoulder, downhill runner. But I think outside Durant is that the whole wide receiving corps is doing a very good job. I mean, watching him on film, Durant's obviously who he is, but the rest of the receiving corps is very explosive, and they're very efficient with their routes, efficient with catching the ball. I think Stanford's got a lot of good targets to throw to. And I think the underlying is really the bigger thing for that whole offense, which why they've been successful, is they've got a veteran coach, Steve Axman, there. Steve recruited me out of high school, and he's been around the college game a while. He's seen a lot about football. He's seen a lot of different defenses. He's probably the underlying story of their whole success, is just that because Steve's been able to go in there and just help to give them the ideas, give them the organization, give them the tools. I'm seeing the way they're blocking things. Steve's probably the one that deserves a lot of credit for that whole success of that offense.
Yeah.
Coach, so you come off an emotional week. You have senior night, the clinch conference championship. You secure a bowl berth. How do you keep your team sharp? How do you keep your team motivated going into this week?
Well, you should be motivated because we're talking about we're building champions. We don't exist in wins and losses, and so just as we were 0-7 and able to finish off 4 straight losses or 4 straight wins, that same mentality is carrying over now. Where just because things are good doesn't mean you stray away from the process. You just come to work every day and you put your hard hat on. You focus on what it takes to win. Our guys are excited about another chance to play college football. There's a very limited opportunities for a person to play college football. So we have one coming up, so it's precious. So we're going to focus in on it. Our guys are obviously thrilled to have won. It's going to be great to be able to go into this game knowing that you've wrapped up the league championship, but I think even more, to be able to travel, to go international travel to Canada, fly into a beautiful city, and just play the game of college football against what is a great opponent. And so that's enough right there for any hard-nosed, die-hard football player to be fired up about.
And tell me about your senior class. You were able to honor them at senior night, just the way they finished at home, and what your expectations are for them over the last couple of weeks here with them.
Yeah, I mean, you can't speak enough, and there's a lot of them there that it's the character. When we're talking about building champions, these young men, for the most part, they've all been apart from the freshman year in our program. They have a real foundation of integrity. They're all competitive. They love this program. They've been through the highs and lows. They're ready to take on the next challenge. And so as you have that group leading us, that's where I think I'm not at all concerned about getting ready for this game this Saturday because of these guys. They're hungry. They've set the culture about, hey, you wake up, you go compete, you take care of your business, you focus on the task at hand, and that's really epitomizes who these guys are. So I'd be excited for is 10, 15 years down the road who these guys become, because I think where you're looking at is a class of people who are going to be very successful in whatever career venture they decide to choose to go into.